What's up, Nut Soldiers? I'm Nut Alliance and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing something interesting, something that I haven't really ever done before, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to see. So a couple people have pretty much been asking me over the last year, hey, what's your review on this? Where's your review on that? And I've actually recorded a lot of reviews, and then in the end I'm kind of just like, there's so many other reviews out there, why would I even produce my own? Do you know what I mean? So I just decided not to post them in the end. What I thought would be interesting is, what if I just do this thing near the end of the year, or especially at the end of the summer, where I just kind of go over things that I liked, things I didn't like, and I gave you guys brief reviews all summed up in one video. So that's what this video is for. So if you want to see more videos like this, maybe just do like a summary every month. That'd be pretty cool, little roundup, kind of giving my review on things and stuff like that. Let me know, comments below. All right, for the first thing on our list, we have from January, someone requested what's my opinion on the movie Glass. Now the movie Glass is the sequel to the movie Unbreakable and the movie Split. Here's the thing, I've never actually seen any of those movies. I've wanted to for a while, I just haven't got a chance to just check them out. Unbreakable was always an interesting movie to me, but I never actually personally watched it. So I'll definitely have to check it out though, especially since it's now a trilogy. However, I heard that Glass is somewhat of a disappointment. So I guess I'll have to wait and form my own opinion when I get to that. Also in January, people were asking about Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, for those of you who don't know, I've been a Kingdom Hearts fan ever since the first one came out, and that was back in like 2001, 2002, and I love that game. In fact, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, I think like in 2004 or 5. My top 10 favorite video games ever, that's probably like number 5 or number 4. Like, I'm not even kidding. I might have to do like a top video games video or something like that. Let me know if you want to see that in the comments below. But I've been waiting so long for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it finally came out, and it was pretty good. But it wasn't what I was expecting. I think because the first one was really good, the second one was phenomenal, and I was naturally thinking, you know, 13 years later, they were going to take what they made in the second game, and they were going to make this like great, just awesome game. And it was just, I would say it was good. It was just not what I was expecting, and I think that was the biggest issue with a lot of people. It didn't exactly live up to the hype, but when it comes down to it, when a game has been in development for 13 years and people have been waiting for a sequel to this epic trilogy that they've been waiting for, the issue is you build up a hype level which you'll never ever reach, and a lot of games do that. In fact, there's a game coming out later on, I don't exactly know when that's coming out, but it's called Cyberpunk. And that game is getting so much like credit from a bunch of people, and it's looking really cool. But I don't know if Keanu Reeves can save it from its own hype, because the hype monster machine is pretty powerful. And unfortunately, like I said, with Kingdom Hearts 3, it kind of got affected by that. I still had a great time playing it. I loved going through the different levels and seeing the different stuff. I was surprised by how much I actually liked some of the levels. Like, when I saw they were doing a lot more Pixar levels, especially like Tangled, I thought, oh, this is gonna be awful. But it turns out Tangled ended up being my favorite like world, so that was pretty cool. Like I said, Kingdom Hearts 3 is good, but it's not as good as the first two. All right, moving on to February. Someone asked about my opinion on Alita Battle Angel and what's my like quick review on that. I actually didn't see it. I had one of my best friends actually saw it, and he said that he was surprised by how much he liked it. He actually went into the movie expecting it to be very plain, but apparently it's really getting a lot of attention. Not really from like big major movie critics, but from like the fan base. People really seem to like it, so I might have to check it out for sure. Next one I was asked to do was How to Train Your Dragon 3. So this one is interesting to me because I actually remember when the first one came out in theaters. I didn't see it, and I didn't see the second one in theaters. This is a really underrated trilogy. The first one was really good, the second one was really good, and this one was just good too. Like, it wasn't as good as the second one, but I would say this one is probably on par with the first one in my opinion. It is a shame that that entire universe, which seems very rich and lush, and it seems like it could definitely go further. It's a shame that we don't have any more on that, but I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles. If I had to review that movie real quick, good story, good characters. However, I have to say this, the villain was kind of weak. I think that Drago, the villain in the second film, was far superior than the villain in the third film. In fact, I actually don't even remember his name. So Yeah, he wasn't as good as the villain in the second one, but he's still a decent villain. But I would say that Drago was definitely more of a better presence on screen, but that's just my opinion. Okay, moving on to the TV shows of February, we have The Walking Dead Season 9, second half. It was aired in February. So here's the thing, guys. I don't actually watch The Walking Dead anymore. I said this before in a previous video of mine, but I'll say it again. When I watch TV shows, I put myself in a particular character's shoes. I find the person who I most identify with, and then I'm that character. So essentially, I am in that world until that character either dies or disappears. Once I lose that connection to the world, I have the disconnect to the world. And so unfortunately, I just don't feel part of it anymore. The character I always saw myself as was Rick. I always saw myself as the lead character, as the main guy. I could really identify with Rick. My best friend, he loved the show, and he would always follow Daryl. Another friend of mine, he loved Glenn. And so we all kind of like watched through this show through these different characters, and we kind of put ourselves inside those characters. And it happened with my friend too. When Glenn died on the show, spoilers by the way, I guess, he actually stopped watching too because his favorite character was gone. And so Rick isn't dead, but he's not in the show anymore. And so I do feel a disconnect, and that's why I don't watch it anymore. Now, of course, there is always a chance that he can come back. And maybe I'll give the show a chance, maybe with season 10 coming around, maybe I'll check it out again. But I checked out once Rick left, and I kind of feel like that was a good time to leave. So I don't know, that's just my opinion, of course. The show was getting a little bit stale as the seasons were going on. Okay, now we're moving on to the games of February, and the first game asked about was Apex Legends. I actually played Apex Legends on the first day it was released, and I remember having a pretty good time with it. I'm not like a battle royale type of guy. I don't play a lot of battle royale games. I don't really care about them, so it was okay. I had a good time, I guess, but it wasn't like as great as some people like to talk about it, but it's decent. Next one is Crackdown 3. I did not play Crackdown 3. I did play the original 2 back on Xbox 360. I mean, I guess it looks fun to me, but the issue is that it doesn't look like a full price game. I would pay $10 for that game because I know I'd only play it for like 2 hours and that would be it. So I'm sorry, but Crackdown 3 was definitely a fail. If you liked it, that's cool, but it didn't do enough. On the next one, we have Far Cry New Dawn. I haven't played Far Cry New Dawn. I had played Far Cry 5, and it's pretty cool that they made like a new game connecting that world, which is cool. And I liked Far Cry 5, but I'm probably going to eventually tap into Far Cry New Dawn, but I haven't done that yet. And so the next two games, Metro Exodus and Anthem, I haven't played either one of those games. I want to play both. I heard Anthem was pretty bad. I heard Exodus is really good. So I'm going to eventually tap into both of those and see what we can do. I know Anthem is kind of like a Destiny game, and I played Destiny all the time. Actually, I haven't played it for a couple months, but I used to play Destiny 2 when it first came out, like every day. So that was a fun game, and I always have a good time playing that. So one of these days I'll have to check out Anthem. Maybe when it's like on sale for $5 or something like that, I'll buy it and play it. Moving on to March, we only have one thing here, and this was someone asked about Captain Marvel, my review on that. Now, I actually did a review on Captain Marvel, and I actually liked the movie. It gets a lot of hate because of Brie Larson. People say it's a pretty standard origin story or whatever. I think it's interesting. I think it's a good beginning for the character, and I actually like Captain Marvel, so I'm just going to put that there. If you don't like her, that's okay, but I do. Moving on to April, in the movie section we have Shazam. So for me, I actually really liked Shazam. I had a really good time with it. It's definitely a fresh breath of air for the DCEU, so I liked it. Thought it was fun, and not really any big complaints about it. I think it was a fun film, so that's what it was supposed to be, and that's what it did. Next question was Hellboy remake. So the new Hellboy remake I didn't see, but here's the thing, I was never a fan of the old Hellboys very much. I had some friends who loved those movies, and they said this new one was really, really bad. So I don't know, I'm not really gonna comment on it, but based on what I saw online, it is bad, so probably just avoid that. Now on to our last movie in the April category, and this one's probably the smallest movie. You probably never even heard of it. It's called Avengers Endgame. What type of movie name is that? Now, of course, we all have seen this movie. It is a really good movie. It's probably the best movie of the year so far. And the majority of the world loved it because it's now the highest grossing box office film ever, so that's really crazy. I talked about it in my MCU movies ranked. If you want to check that out, there'll be a link to that in the description below. But you know what? I actually forgot. I did do a review for this Avengers Endgame, but it wasn't the type of review what you're thinking. It wasn't my traditional, like, I wait a couple days to a week, see it again, and kind of do a review. I did a 5-minute after the viewing review, and I remember I didn't like it. I remember 5 minutes after the movie, I did not like it. And eventually after it soaked in and I realized, okay, it's actually a better film. That was interesting. Maybe one of these days I'll have to just post that review and just see what people have to say about it, because I remember being very conflicted, because I remember not liking the majority of the film. I remember thinking it was boring until the last 30 minutes, and the last 30 minutes made me go, can a movie be redeemed by its last 30 minutes? However, as time has gone on, I have become more accepting of, probably the biggest thing to me was the time travel part, but that's just because my entire life I view time travel as like one type of thing. It's one line, you cut off an end, it just goes to a new line and that end disappears. You know, that's how I always kind of saw it. So this new movie, Endgame, kind of introduced a new way to look at time travel like we've never seen before. So I thought that was pretty interesting now, but at first it actually kind of annoyed me. So I've definitely come around to it, and it's definitely one of my favorite movies now. But like I said, if you want to check that out, there'll be linked to my 23 MCU movies ranked down in the description below. All right, on to our next one. We have Game of Thrones Season 8. Now, this is a massively controversial thing. Game of Thrones, man. So here's a little backstory on me. I actually first started watching Game of Thrones when the first season came out. I watched all the way to Season 3. And as I mentioned earlier in my Walking Dead part of the video, I always pick a character that I am during the TV show, right? So I always saw myself as Robb Stark. So around Season 3, something happens, and I'm not going to spoil anything for those who don't want to be spoiled. And I felt a disconnect from the show. I was kind of like, well, that happened to that character, so now I feel like I don't belong in the show anymore. And so I kind of felt the disconnect, and I just pulled myself away. A couple years pass, and seasons 4, 5, 6, and then 7 get released, and season 8 is only a couple months away. And there's this deal on Amazon for 7 seasons, and really cheap, like $40 for the all 7 season collection. I'm like, I gotta get it, you know. So I bought it. Me and my wife actually watched the entire thing. This time I put myself in Jon Snow's shoes, which is the better call. And I actually really ended up enjoying the show for the most part, but you can definitely see near the end of the seasons it becomes a little rough. Season 8 is the best example. It's just, it's so sloppy. It's not good. That's just my opinion. I'm gonna leave it there. Maybe I'll do a video on that in the future if you guys want to hear more on that, but I guess we'll move on to the next one. So moving on to May, someone asked about Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Haven't actually seen it. I'm going to be watching it soon though, because I heard it's actually pretty fun. So I'm excited to see it. Next one is John Wick Chapter 3. I didn't actually even see any of the John Wicks yet. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people, whenever someone asks, well, you do like YouTube videos, you love action movies, you know, you probably have seen John Wick films. And I'm like, nope, I haven't seen it yet. I plan to one day, but it is not this day. And the last movie for May, I was asked about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So this is the third film in the universe. We had Godzilla 2014, then we had King Kong, Skull Island. Oh no, we had Kong, Skull Island, sorry. And then we now have Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And I didn't actually see this movie when it first came out. I actually just watched it like a week ago, and I can honestly say that I wish I would have went to the theaters to see this movie. I wish I would have went to IMAX to see this, because that's the type of movie that needs to be seen in IMAX or just in the regular theater, because it was a really good movie for what it was. Now I'm not going to go ahead and say it was anything like great. It wasn't the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you know, it wasn't Star Wars Episode 5, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a spectacular iconic film, but it was a fun Godzilla film. It was a film that we've been wanting to see from a Godzilla. I remember 2014 when Godzilla was released, people were very let down, and for me, I wasn't a massive fan of Godzilla in the past, but I remember going in and just kind of forgetting about the film because it was just boring and forgettable. But at least, while this one is still kind of forgettable, it's not boring. It's actually really fun. It's a fun ride, you know what I mean? Now, you're not going to remember a lot of it when you come out of it. It's exactly what a Godzilla movie should be. It should just deliver 2 hours of just entertainment, fun, massive battles, city destroying things going on, and that's what it did. So I think it did a good job of that. And I'm excited to see King Kong and Godzilla go at it next year, but I guess we'll see how that goes in the future. Now moving on to Games of May, or I should say Game of May, because there's only one game here. They asked me about Rage 2. So I actually played Rage 2 and I beat the entire game. I pretty much went through all the different side missions, had a good time running around shooting all the enemies. That's a fun game. I don't know if I can say it's great. I don't know if I can say it's worth 60 bucks. I think once this game drops to 40, it's definitely gonna be worth it. Pick it up. It's a really good game for like 40 bucks. That's a good way to describe it. But it's fun and it keeps you entertained for a couple days, so yeah. Okay, now we're moving on to June, and we only have one movie in this section, and that is The Dark Phoenix. I haven't seen it because I wasn't interested in it because it looked bad, and then it turns out it actually was bad from a lot of people, what a lot of people have been saying. But for me, I'm going to wait to form my own opinion. I'm going to wait till I can actually get the film in hand, and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see my own opinion on this film, because here's the thing. I remember when Apocalypse came out, people trashed that movie. They said it was the worst film that ever existed. They said it was worse than the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which that's a massive diss. And for me, I think it was fine. It wasn't great, but it definitely was not terrible. It was a decent film. It was what it was supposed to be, in my opinion. I think it did what it could do with the source material, especially considering that the only company that can really do anything good with Marvel movies is, you know, Disney and the Marvel MCU and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think it did a pretty good job for what it was, and I'm excited to see The Dark Phoenix, but I'm also like, I can wait until it comes on like Netflix or something like that, so I'll just wait for that. Okay, now we're moving on to July. The first thing we have here for the movies is Spider-Man Far From Home. So this is actually a touchy subject, especially right now, because it just turned out, at the time of recording this, I just saw a news report that like Sony and Marvel are actually fighting, or Sony and Disney are actually fighting over the rights to Spider-Man right now. I'm sure it'll all be solved and it'll all get blown over soon anyways, and Spidey will be saved, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a good film. I had a good time with it. Still not as good as Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is still the superior Spider-Man. Get it? I cracked myself up. But I had a fun time with that movie, and if you want to hear more about that movie and my review on that, make sure to check out my 23 Marvel movies ranked. I already plugged that like twice already in this video, but go check it out right down there in the description below. Now moving on to TV shows of July, we have Stranger Things Season 3. I liked it. I thought it was good. It wasn't as good as the first season, but it was better than the second season, so I think that that's good. I think out of all the TV shows I've ever seen, except for like Spartacus, Stranger Things has like the best season quality. And what I mean by that is like season 1 through 3, they're all good seasons. Do you know? Like season 1 is just great. Season 2 is good, and then season 3 is above good, you know, between good and great. So that's a good thing. There's no like great and then terrible and then okay and then great and then terrible, you know, like a lot of other shows seem to do. So that's a good thing. Hopefully they can keep it up. Next thing we're going on, this is a new one, The Boys. So this one is interesting because this goes against pretty much all the things that we know about superheroes. It pretty much puts the line of gray in every single character. So there is no absolutely good. There is no absolutely bad. There are just people who are just doing stuff because they want to. It's kind of like if superheroes were in real life, this is probably what would happen with it. And it's a really good show. I had a great time watching it. I'm actually excited for season 2. I hope that season 2 doesn't take too long to produce. I want to see more about the extra stuff going on in the world. You know, especially with all the terrorist stuff going on, because that's probably what would happen. And it'd be cool. I'm excited for it. Season 1 was good. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. If you don't have a Prime membership, I'm sure you can probably torrent it off something. So I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you probably could. So you can take my words how you will. And for the last thing on our list, this is from the end of July because there's nothing going on in August. End of July, someone asked Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Yes. I think it was like 10 bucks cheaper on Amazon. So I bought it. They shipped it in. I got it the day of. I started playing, and I am still pretty much playing until this day, which is, you know, only a month or so, but that's still pretty impressive. Usually the way the games work is that I play them for a little bit and then I'll stop playing them, but Ultimate Alliance 3 is really good. I'm having a really fun time with it. I will say there is a bit of a learning curve. First like 3 hours of the game was kind of like meh. However, as you get through it and you kind of understand how the mechanics work and how the extra like spec stuff works and the XP boosts and thing works like that, you start to realize that it's actually a really fun, entertaining, addicting, grindy, in a good way type of game. So I'm having a good time with it, and I am excited to keep on playing and see the rest of the DLCs that come out with it. You got 4 players on the team. I got Spider-Man as my main. I got Hulk on the secondary. The third character is Magneto. And then my 4th character, to round it off, make it just the most powerful team, I got Thanos. So I got all 4, some of the most powerful characters in the game, and they're all at level 100. So yeah, that's my dream team. That is my main team I use, and I never lose. So that's just the way it goes. So there you go, guys. That is a roundup of 2019 so far in entertainment. That's movies, TV shows, video games that you guys asked about. Might do this monthly, maybe bi-monthly, maybe every just quarterly, you know, like every 3 months or something like that. Maybe I'll just bring this up and just see what people think. If you guys want me to do any specific like reviews like this in a future video, let me know in the comments below like what type of stuff you want me to check out. I might do like pre-2019 stuff too, like kind of go back in time and just do like brief reviews on certain stuff. Maybe just do all of like 2018, all of 2017. I don't know, it's an interesting idea. I haven't really seen much people do stuff like this, so I'm trying to think outside the box in my content, so hopefully that's what's coming across to you guys. But thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.